You're not able to. I wear glasses. You think my fucking body was made perfectly? Excuse the fuck out of me. So let's go on ahead and see what questions the Christians have for us and how hard they are to answer.
First question is, do you believe that God does not exist?
No.
So.
Okay, so here's the deal. We aren't saying that God absolutely does not exist. We are saying that there's no evidence that a God does exist. That's not the same thing. Lack of a belief is not a belief system. There is hard atheism where they do say there is no such thing as a God. But the majority of atheists are under what's called weak atheism, which is there is not enough evidence to believe that there is a God, therefore I do not accept the belief that there is a God. It is not the same as saying there absolutely is no such thing as a God. If a God came down to earth right now or tomorrow, whatever, and said I exist, all atheists would then become theists. We wouldn't follow him because we don't agree with what the Bible says, but we would believe because he proved it, so then it wouldn't even be a belief system. It would be an acceptance of facts. Atheists don't believe things. We accept truths based on evidence. Okay? That's the difference between theists and atheists. Theists believe without evidence. Atheists believe because of evidence.
You kind of either have that belief or you don't. You either believe that God does not exist or you don't.
That is called a logical fallacy. It's called the either or logical fallacy. You either this or you that. That's not true. That's not how it works. There's a million other options.
If you answered yes to that, then you're ready for the next question. The next question is, do you believe
No.
in evidentialism?
No, I do not believe.
Evidentialism is the view that your beliefs ought to be proportioned to the evidence. You shouldn't just believe something without evidence. Those are the first two questions.
Yeah, you should not believe something without evidence. If somebody is in a courtroom, they don't go to prison just because someone said that this happened. You have to have evidence to put them in prison or evidence to prove that they are innocent. There needs to be evidence. You don't believe in the flying spaghetti monster. Why? Because there's no freaking evidence for it. You don't believe in Hogwarts. Why? Because there's no freaking evidence for it.
You answered yes to both of those. If you have the belief that God does not exist, and you also believe in evidentialism, you're ready for the third question. And the third question is, what is your evidence that justifies your belief that God does not exist?
There is no evidence that a God does exist. You don't know what atheist is. You don't know what atheism is. Atheist, A means lack of. Theist means belief in a God or gods. Atheist put together means a lack of belief in God or gods. You people need to do research before you try and debate.
Best questions to ask an atheist? What do you mean by atheism? When did you become
Lack of belief in a God or gods.
an atheist?
When did you become an atheist? When I realized that there is no evidence proving that a God exists.
Did you ever believe in God? What?
Yes, majority of atheists actually did start out believing in God. But once they started researching, they learned that there's no evidence proving that a God exists.
What's your experience with Christians?
Horrible. Logical fallacies left and right. It is believe what I say to believe without reason or go to hell. That's horrible. That's called indoctrination.
What, if anything, might cause you to reconsider?
If God himself showed up in person or created the evidence needed to accept God's existence, that is what would be needed. And God knows, according to you, God knows what evidence it would take to make every human being on planet Earth believe in God or accept the fact of God's existence. It has not happened. Hence, there are atheists.
Your beliefs. Those are the kinds of questions I like to begin with. Now, eventually, I want to get to the big question. Why is there something rather
Yeah, why is there something rather than nothing? Why? That doesn't prove God.
than nothing? Where did life come from?
Where did life come from? Seriously, you've never opened up a science textbook? Okay. To not go crazy in depth on this, as I am not a professional, I am not an expert. Life evolved to live. Well, how do you know that? Because there is mountains of evidence proving it. This is a mug. Is there anything in it? Your answer should be, I don't know. Guess what? There is something in it. Now the evidence should make you accept the fact that there is something in it. That is how evidence works. You don't just accept belief in something without evidence.
The origin of consciousness.
Consciousness, or what is actually deemed qualia, is knowing that you exist. That is fairly explainable with psychology and biology. All these questions, if you did research into science, you would find your answers. The issue is you don't like science. You don't like facts. You like the comfort of believing in something without proof, because it comforts you in the thought that you have something after you pass away. You don't like the idea that there is nothing. You don't like the idea that you don't know everything. So you make up the answers. And then you indoctrinate other people to believe those answers.
Objective moral values.
Morality is fairly deemed as subjective. It evolved through empathy and sympathy through cultures and societies.
And duties. And who is Jesus?
Jesus is a potentially having existed man that potentially existed. There's no proof that he existed, but there's a little bit of evidence that he existed. A supposed man from Nazareth that supposedly did things. There are 0 witnesses. There are 0 testimonies. 0. 0. 0. 0. You heard me. 0. And you cannot use the Bible to prove that. That is called circular reasoning, proving something with that thing. Well, because the Bible says there were 500 witnesses. Bullshit. Prove it. Where are they? Huh? Where's the testimonies of these 500 people? 500 people. And not one single extra biblical writing on planet Earth.
But to me, those questions are often downstream from first getting to know the person and hearing their story.
Atheists cannot answer this question. We know
Let's see.
time, space, and matter was all created at the Big Bang.
No, you don't. People do not study science. The Big Bang, first of all, was not a bang. Second of all, it's where we are able to see our beginning of space-time. It is not saying that anything was created, first of all. There is 0 claims in science that the universe is a creation. Our tools allow us to see certain things to a certain degree. Our tools allow us to see so far back to what we perceive as a beginning. The Big Bang Theory does not claim that that is the beginning of all things. No, we don't know what started it. We don't know what caused it. We don't know what was before it. We know what happened and what has come since.
But if it was all created at the Big Bang, what caused the Big Bang?
Who fucking knows? Prove it was God.
The cause would have to be something.
And first of all, who says that the universe didn't always exist? Not the Big Bang Theory. We don't know. That doesn't mean therefore God.
Timeless, spaceless, and immaterial. Then the atheist would say, we don't know. So if you don't
You're
know,
right.
why could it not be God?
You're right. Prove it was God, though.
And if there is no God, why is there something rather than nothing at all?
We don't know.
Atheists cannot answer.
We don't know. You don't know. The Bible makes claims. without evidence.
Right, I've got 3 more questions for atheists here.
Let's hear it.
Number 1, do you believe that our beliefs ought to be proportioned to the evidence? So
Yes.
should we only really believe something if we've got evidence?
You should only accept truths based on evidence. You shouldn't believe anything.
In favor of it. Number 2 is, if we could verify that some miracle actually occurred, would that give us a reason to think that God exists?
No, because a miracle by literal definition is something that cannot be tested, explained, or proven. So if it was proven and verified what happened, it would no longer be a miracle.
And again, this is contingent on whether or not we could actually verify that the miracle happened. All right, number 3, and this is my final question. If you're an atheist that cares about truth and thinks that we should proportion our beliefs to the evidence.
No, you should not believe in anything. You should accept truths based on evidence.
But then you also think that we've got this unique way to verify whether or not God exists through studying miracles.
There is no proof of a miracle. There is no proof any miracles have ever happened in the history of mankind. There is no proof that a God exists. There is no evidence supporting either of those.
How many of the millions of miracle reports throughout history have you actually deeply investigated?
100% of them have been found not credible. No human being on planet Earth has ever regrown a limb through a miracle. Ever. In the history of mankind, ever. Is there any credible source proving that? Zero evidence. Ever. Literally ever does not exist. No miracles exist.
All right.
Okay. I don't know how much more I can freaking suffer.
These are 3 questions that atheists are afraid to answer, and the last question will probably stump you. If God isn't real, then how did this entire universe form?
No freaking idea. Prove it was God.
Nextly, who was the first man, and how were people created?
People weren't created. People evolved.
All right, here's all the questions that atheists cannot answer, but a Christian can. What created existence? Animal
The universe isn't a creation.
life, human life, stars,
Evolution.
moon, sun, the whole earth. How was DNA
Expansion.
created? Why is there an objective obvious
DNA wasn't created.
bad in the world and evil? Why is there
There is no such thing as good and evil. It's subjective.
death? Why do we die? What is our
We die because life and death is a part of nature.
purpose here? Why are we here?
There is no purpose to life except for what you make it.
How was the earth made so perfect and
The earth was not made. If you study cosmology, you will see that Earth and other planets, moons, are created through gravitational pull to make something called a oblate spheroid.
everything we eat we can easily digest, and the
You can't easily digest everything. You can't digest corn.
water we drink will hydrate us?
No, the water that we drink has to be pure. You cannot go to 80% of Earth and drink the water. It will kill you.
How is that possible? Where did this come from? How is our body made so perfectly with every
It
single
was not made perfect whatsoever. You get sick every single year in the wintertime because your body is not able to protect itself perfectly from germs. You're not able to. I wear glasses. You think my fucking body was made perfectly? Excuse the f out of me. People are born with missing limbs. People are born with extra chromosomes. People are born missing chromosomes. People are born lacking eyesight, smelling, hearing, etc. People are born with brain issues and neurological issues. That is not perfection.
cell and every single ligament is perfectly intact for its use.
Evolution.
Lastly, a trick question. Do you think being atheist is good? God is
There is no good. There is what we perceive as good and bad based on survival instincts. It is bad to hurt another human being because it hurts our survival as human beings. We have evolved this thing called sympathy because we are social creatures. That's right, creatures. We are animals. Okay? We are mammals. We are social creatures that evolved to help one another for survival.
real, folks. There is a God, and Jesus Christ is that God.
Prove it.